Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Welcome everybody to the Safina Society Nothing But Facts live stream. Let's do a quick Ramadan prep today on this cold Thursday. I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden it's extremely cold here. I was cold. I don't know about you guys, if you guys were cold, but it's a sunny, beautiful day. But it is also pretty nippy. Now, Fadl Shahr Ramadan is that it is the month of Quran. Why is it say that? Because Allah says, Shahru Ramadan alladhi unzila fihi al-Quran. And Ash-Shafi'i is famous to have been asked, how much Quran do you recite? And he said, in the prayer or outside the prayer? He said, no, outside the prayer. And he said, and then the person said, he said, in the prayer or outside the prayer? He said, outside the prayer. He said, in the day or in the night? He said, in the night. He said, khatma every 3 days. He used to do a khatam every 3 days, and he had 4 different khatams. One for the salah of the day, the nafilah of the day, one for the nafilah of the night, one for the outside the salah, the nafilah of the night, and one outside the salah of the day. So that was Imam al-Shafi'i and how much Quran he used to recite. A lot of people look around for some kind of secret techniques, secret, people get, what do they call these, like journals and I'm telling you, the whole issue is so much simpler than it is. You just need to pile on a lot more, and you need to be more consistent. It's just recite a lot of Quran in the day, okay? And in the night, as much as you can. That's it. You don't really need, there's not much philosophy. There's no secret dhikrs. There's no secret anything. There's no mysticism that you need. You just need to pour on a lot more sauce. That's it. Pour on a lot of sauce, okay?
If you want to add stuff, you got to leave some stuff off.
And that's a great point. You can't add more sauce unless you empty something else off the plate. So your plate has to be emptied out. Okay. You got to remove distractions. You got to eliminate distractions. You can't be expecting to add anything in the month of Ramadan unless you eliminate something. And that's why, let me tell you a story actually. It's an amazing story. I came upon a guy who had just basically become Muslim in jail. But this guy, he knew a lot of Quran by memory. And the reason he had a lot of Quran by memory is that he was given one cassette tape. It was Abdul Basit cassette tape of the last few surahs of Quran. And in a span of a year and a half, he had memorized the entire tape. And that's because he had one tape. That's all he was admitted. And he used to just play that same tape every day. He just played that tape. That's all he had. So sometimes when you don't have a lot of choices, you end up being more consistent because he just kept repeating the same old tape over and over and over and over and over. A lot of people, when the choices are removed from their life, it's actually a blessing in disguise. Right? It's a blessing in disguise, really. All right, let's read a little bit. إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر. So ليلة القدر is, of course, seeking it. It's one of the 8 things that Allah hid inside of other things. So ليلة القدر is hidden in Ramadan. His anger is hidden in his sins. His rida is hidden in good deeds. His awliya are hidden amongst the people. The Ism al-A'zam is hidden amongst his names. The 99 names is hidden amongst his names. That's now 6. Okay. There's 2 more. What are the 8 that are hidden inside of 8 other things? Do you know that? What are the other 2? Maybe he came up with it, but I think it's just, I don't know who's attributed to it. Where's your mic? You got it? But it's his sakhat, his anger is hidden in his sins. Right? It's hadith.
Yeah.
Ajib. What are they?
The hadith was like 4. And then the last one's like Sidr in the Khalq.
His secrets are hidden in the creation. Okay, while you look that up, I'll continue. But there are 8 things hidden inside of other things. And the reason we're supposed to chase them and seek them down, okay, Abdul Hadi is saying, is maybe mercy is hidden in tribulation, maybe. The reason we're supposed to seek them down, they're hidden, is so that we can track down as much as possible. All right? We're supposed to track down as much as possible of them, so that we don't know who's going to be from the awliya of Allah. So anyone that you see that has some signs of piety, you draw near to him and be nice to him. Maybe he's one of the awliya, ask for his dua. Okay. In the month of Ramadan, what counts as Tarawih? Any amount of rak'at that you pray between Isha and between sleeping. Any amount will count for you as Tarawih. And the masajid, they tend to establish 20 because that's what Sayyidina Umar established. But the number is not the issue for us. It's any amount of Tarawih that you establish. Okay. The Prophet ﷺ said, Jibreel came and he said, Man adraka Ramadan falam yughfar lahu ab'adahu Allah. Whoever comes into Ramadan and Allah and is not forgiven all his sins, then may Allah push him away. Meaning that this month there's so much khair, so many opportunities, that how can a person not attain forgiveness in this month? At that point, we ask Allah, he says, may Allah, there's only one way he did this, is that this person is obstinate, purposely not paying attention, and not trying. So may Allah Ta'ala distance him. May Allah push him far away. The Prophet remained silent. Jibreel said it again. Prophet remained silent. Third time, Jibreel alayhi salam said, say Ameen. So the Prophet said Ameen. The Prophet didn't want to say Ameen. The Prophet didn't want to say Ameen to something that would distance another person. It was a dua against him. فَقَالَ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ Ameen. Okay? So, مَنْ أَدْرَكَ رَمَضَانَ فَلَمْ يُغْفَرْ لَهُ. Because of the amount of forgiveness that comes to a person. When you are in the month of Ramadan, remember that the forgiveness of Sha'ban was due, the prerequisite of being forgiven in the month of Sha'ban, Laylatul Nisfi min Sha'ban, is not to have anything in your heart towards another Muslim. And we have to have that. Okay? You have to think about this. Imam Habib Ahmad Mashhur al-Haddad, he hated having any conflict with another Muslim. And that's really the ethic that we should really be upon. Some people get upset at decisions you make. Recently, a brother sent me a video and he told me, watch this video. Another Muslim brother is extremely upset that you put on Owen Benjamin on your show. Do we put people on so he could teach? So we could learn something? Did he come on as an educator in Islam, an educator in politics? We bring people on if they have some kind of an interest. And, these types of people, they're not going to have a private conversation with you. So the way that you converse with them is through public discussions. If a guy from the Nation of Islam comes upon us and he says, you know what, I'm thinking about actual Islam, and he starts signaling that in his social media, I bring him on. All right? It doesn't matter what he did in the past. And what's the proof of this? The Prophet ﷺ spoke about Abu Jahl. Okay? Abu Jahl himself. If a great murderer and killer of Muslims was to say, you know what, I'm having second thoughts, I'm starting to think about Islam, a lot of good things about Islam, how are you supposed to how is he going to change his ways if the root doesn't change? The root is his belief, his aqidah. And that's the logic behind why people bring on. There's not a single, we brought on a Jewish rabbi here, that he didn't say he's interested in Islam, but he is interested in supporting the Palestinian case. They say a lot of terrible things about prophets. Owen Benjamin said a lot of things that offended a lot of different other people, including African Americans, right? Now, I do a lot of research. It was recommended to me by someone who I trusted, right? So I didn't go back and listen to a lot of his stuff, okay? But either way, a person could have done terrible things, but if they want to change their ways, why else did the Prophet ﷺ give da'wah to Abu Jahl, who was the worst of the worst? Is not Abasa wa Tawalla, came down because the Prophet was talking to the elites of Quraysh. And did the messenger stop ever giving da'wah to the elites of Quraysh despite all of what they have done? Did not Abu Sufyan lead an army that killed many Sahaba in the Battle of Uhud? And yet when Abu Sufyan came, the Prophet spoke to him and continued to give him da'wah. Okay? Until finally he did enter Islam. So let me just say here for once and for all, is that when a person comes on, okay, that doesn't necessarily mean everything that they hold that we approve of. When they come on, they don't approve of everything that I believe in either. It goes both ways. And if you're going to do da'wah to somebody, you need to have a friendly conversation with them. We're not going to be attacking them. So that is the point here of da'wah, is when a person comes in, okay, and is interested in Islam, that's going to be the subject matter. Not going to go and do a hisab, take them to account for everything they did in the past. Take them to account on what standard? Am I going to go tell a non-Muslim, fear Allah? On what standard? Anyway, I say this because people sometimes, they come at you hard and you're like, come on, are you serious? This is actually the extrapolation that you're making. But, we have to have a forgiving perspective on things. And people do get angry. It's okay. It's not a big deal when someone gets angry and throws words around. We call it in Arabic throwing words around, which is, oh, you're a munafiq. Oh, you're just doing this. It's a grift. All right, you're just throwing words. None of it has any real, value, meaning, or impact. So it says here, going back to the subject, that to be forgiven in the month of Ramadan, it also requires us to avoid the shahna by qiyas. So if the forgiveness of Sha'ban, Nisf Sha'ban, was based on not having shahna in your heart, then the forgiveness of Ramadan is the same. Forgiveness in general is much easier to attain when a person has a pure heart and a clean heart. And anytime that you do anything in life, there's going to be a reaction. So you have to learn how to handle that reaction. Well, it's okay if people get angry. I just got cursed out on text the other day. Like, cursed out. I was like, that's okay. People get angry. What can you do? What can you do? I get angry sometimes. People get angry. You have that kind of forgiving attitude. May Allah forgive us too for all the stuff that we do and the people that we try to, we got angry with too. So, huwa shahru sabr. It's the month of sabr. And I'll tell you why it's a month of sabr. It's not just the fasting. People these days, they don't have a lot of patience with one another. And the month of Ramadan brings us together for 30 straight days, right? For 30 straight days, and there's almost like a tunnel vision that occurs in the month of Ramadan. And in that tunnel vision, there's a lot of disputes in masajid. So this is one thing that you never want to ruin your month of Ramadan with. And I was involved in that one time in my life. It was like one of the worst Ramadans ever. They get caught up in a fitnah. So the month of Ramadan is going to come around. There's going to be fitnah. There's going to be, there's going to be, people disagreeing with other people. And people have different standards of what's bad, right? And they have different standards of what they pay attention to. Ryan, go ahead.
This is just a random quote from Twitter.
Go ahead.
But it's what I was looking for at least. إن الله أخفى ثلاثا في ثلاث أخفى رضاه في طاعته فلا تحقرن طاعة ما وأخفى غضبه في معصيته فلا تستصغرن معصيته ما وأخفى أسراره في خلقه فلا تحقرن عبدا من عباده.
So he said أسرار
أسرار في خلق.
في الخلق. Secrets are in the creation. What does he mean? Benefits. Secrets in the creation, benefits that you don't know about. There are things in the creation that are extremely beneficial that we don't know about. That's one of the meanings. There are secrets in the creation. What's next? His pleasure is in his ta'ah. And his anger is hidden in sins. You don't know which sin that will earn Allah's wrath. Yeah. Okay. You know we have a new book coming out soon. I'm talking to the printer right now. We got a book coming out on the problem of evil. Nas's book. Yep. No. We're going to be having announcements. We're going to be going on different shows. Yeah, we're gonna promote it and push. It's so beneficial. I can't even tell you. Sayyidina al-Imam al-Haddad says, Allah is angered by somebody and distances him from somebody who does not earn forgiveness in the month of Ramadan, because how easy it is to attain such forgiveness. Someone who doesn't attain such forgiveness is someone who simply is not interested in Allah at all. Mu'rid anillah. Okay. He is, in fact, trying to avoid this. Okay. And he deserves to be expelled from the door of God, because this person has no desire to enter into it. And the ways of forgiveness in the month of Ramadan are so easy. Okay. All the doors of the heavens and the earth are open in the month of Ramadan, and shayateen are locked up and thrown to the ocean in this month. Remember, if you have qada, to do your qada before the month of Ramadan from last year. Qada is a makeup day. If you don't do your makeup days, you owe a makeup day and a fidya on top of that. You have to do fidya on top of that. You know what a fidya is? You have to do fidya on top of that. So, one saw. 2 handfuls of food for a poor Muslim. A meal for a poor Muslim. 4 أربعة أمداد والصاع أربعة أمداد. Yeah. 4 handfuls. So a proper meal. All right, now that's going to cost $10-12. You can get a wakil in a masjid to do it for you, or Islamic Relief. Another thing you have to keep in mind is that it doesn't matter whether you delay the fast, the makeup day, 1 year or multiple years. You're still going to owe only 1 fidya alongside your qada of fasting. I have a message here for the youth and the shabab. Fast a lot. I mean, you only have a week left, essentially, right? What do we got left? Very small amount of time. Okay? Very small amount of time. About how many days left till the month of Ramadan? 9-10 days. Fast as much as you can so that you don't go into the month of Ramadan and be completely miserable. Okay? Because people come in addicted to caffeine, all that stuff. You should have killed that stuff by now. Right? Fast 3-4 days before Ramadan in Sha'ban. You come in Ramadan as if nothing happens. Whereas for many other people, they come into Ramadan, it's a shock. Their body is utterly shocked. Okay? Can I give fidya to La Cocina? The answer is no, because majority of our people are not Muslims. And the obligatory donations like that, or payments, I should say, it's not a donation, it's an obligation. They have to be to poor Muslims. Okay. Hafsa Salim, can you do the division of the moon in 3 parts? I don't know about the moon, but the month is divided into 3 parts. Okay. The month of Ramadan, it's divides. The Prophet ﷺ divided it into 3 parts. The first part is maghfirah, 10 days. Next set of 10 days, mercy. Next set of 10 days, freedom from the fire. Okay. Another thing about this month is that the Prophet ﷺ said Ramadan to Ramadan is a kafara. Jum'ah to Jum'ah is kafara. Salah is a kafara. From Salah to Salah. So, right? Yeah. Exactly. The gentleman memorized the hadith. Someone might say, well, why do I need 3 different forgivenesses, right? Well, the answer is, imagine like you hose down a car. You're not going to get every single inch, every single speck. But if you hose it down 3 times, hose it down 10 times, you probably are, right? Secondly, the levels of forgiveness are different. There is one forgiveness, which is to be forgiven of your sin. There's another layer of it to erase the effects of the sin. There are side effects of every sin. There's a stain on a carpet. You spill grape juice on a white rug or on a white thobe is very different, right? You apologize for being sloppy with the juice. Fine, I forgive you. But that doesn't change the fact that there's a stain on the thobe. So all these kafarat are removing the stains of the sin. There's sins and there are the stains of the sins. And then thirdly, there is removing even the memory of the sin. Fourthly, there's transforming the sin into good deeds. So the levels of kafara are 4 levels. And you need a lot of the same mukaffirat to remove, the same repentance to rise up through these levels. I'll repeat them again. The first level is the forgiveness of the act. The second one is the removal of the stain that the act puts on the heart. The third one is to make one forget about it completely, and even the malaika may be ordered to erase it from your book of deeds. And you yourself may even forget what you used to do. Talk to a lot of guys who used to go to clubs. They say, I can't even remember what the songs are. I can't even remember what the people are. I can't remember who the dancers were. I can't remember who I hung out with. I can't remember the names of the liquor that I used to drink and the alcohol that I used to drink. Can't even remember it. Cannot remember it. The nur came into his heart so much that it literally erased the memory of these things. Can't remember the girls I used to chase after and all these guys I used to hang out with. And even the names of the clubs and the addresses. Fourth level is to transform the bad deed into a good deed. And how does that happen? That happens because in those bad deeds, you did learn something about life. You did learn something about the club life. Now you're the best person to help people who have fallen into it. You can't come to somebody like myself, Omar, or any of these kids born into Islam. They've never been to a club in their life. They do these things, right? How am I supposed to help somebody who goes to the club, right? I can't tell him. I don't have any perspective. I don't share anything with him, right? So same Malcolm X, he knew certain ways of the streets. He's the best person to pull those people out, right? So that's the fourth element where those bad deeds now, not only are they erased, they're actually swapped now into good deeds because you're using what you learned at that time from those deeds to help the people who have fallen into those deeds. There are many, many hadiths about, who is it, the successor of Hassan al-Basri? Remember his name? The successor of Hassan al-Basri started off as a mere drunk cop.
Malik ibn Dinar.
Malik ibn Dinar. He was merely a drunk soldier for the state. And his life turned around. He started attending the masjid. He started attending the gatherings. He started becoming a student. He rose up the ranks. He became the assistant to Hassan al-Basri. He then ended up becoming the successor of Hassan al-Basri. Well, how many stories about him talking and changing helping drunkards on the street? Many. That was his thing. He lived that life. He had a sympathy for that path, but he also knew how dangerous it was, and he knew how to get out of it. And he got many, many, many people to get out of alcoholism who used to drink at that time in the city of Basra. Okay. There's even one story where there was a man, he was drunk, he had a bottle, and he was laying down on the street, and he said, saying, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. Right? So he bent down, he took like a napkin, and he cleaned the man's mouth from the alcohol so that he could continue saying the name of Allah without being mixed with the najasa. then he would do things like he would take the person, put him away so that nobody would see him, and then he'd get, embarrassed or something. Like, he helped a lot of people make tawbah. Separate subject. Every stream, someone comes on Instagram and says the voice keeps going up and down. What's happening?
Sounds like a them problem.
Is Instagram's issue? I mean, like every single day, it's one or two different people coming and saying, why does the voice keep going up and down? It's an Instagram problem? Okay, good. It's not the way I speak, is it? Okay, good. Every nafilah in the month of Ramadan is akin to an obligation outside of it. And every obligation in the month of Ramadan is like 70 obligations. The obligatory deeds are greater in reward. Some people say, and they imagine that you don't get rewarded for obligations. You just have to do it. As if it's like in the financial transactions, no one rewards you, no one commends you for paying your bills. They commend you for charity that you're given, right? No, that's not the case, actually. Even in this world, paying your bills on time will earn you more than giving charity. Because if you don't pay your bills on time, no one will rent to you. No one will want to sell to you because you don't pay on time. So the reward is that people continue to do business with you. So even in this life, you are rewarded more for fulfilling obligations than for charity. In the same vein, obligatory deeds are more beloved to Allah because they're the source of transformation for us. We get transformed when we do the obligations. And then when we do nawafil, that's solely for the love of Allah, and as a result, Allah loves us back. Obligations do not necessarily earn the love of Allah. Obligations earn the chance to earn His love. Obligations earn nearness. Once you're near, now you can earn His love. But obligations in themselves, the ulama said, Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani said, this is because a person can do obligations solely out of fear. He does it solely out of an obligation. So obligations don't earn Allah's love because people don't necessarily do the fara'id out of love. They do it because they have to. Okay? But they earn us nearness to Him. Once you are near to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, at that point, now you have a chance to earn His love by doing nawafil, extra deeds. Abdul Hadi is asking, what do you mean He was His successor? It means that He became the Imam after Hassan al-Basri. Hassan al-Basri was the Imam, and then the great Imam of the great mosque of Basra. So he took his position after Imam Hassan al-Basri passed away. Okay. All right, what deeds do I have to do to earn that forgiveness? Simply fast your 29 or 30 days. That's it. The siyam. Man sama Ramadan imanan wa ihtisaban ghufira lahu ma taqaddama min dhanbi. The other one is man qama Ramadan. So you can earn it in the daytime, you can earn it at nighttime. In qiyam and in siyam. That's it. Go and attend Tarawih, ma tayassar. What is easy for you? Right? And there's nothing in our deen that promotes this kind of like kill yourself, make your feet hurt, stay standing, do 30-minute witr dua. It's not from the sunnah at all because it makes people actually not like it. If you want to do long ibadas, do that on your own. Where you stand for 20 and 30 and 40 minutes, you do that on your own. But in the masajid, in the groups, the rak'at are actually meant to be kept brief. And that's why Sayyidina Umar ibn Abdul Aziz increased the rak'ats to 36 so that each rak'ah could be shorter. People think that, they're more devoted. So instead of doing 20 rak'ahs, they're doing 36. He didn't intend it that way. He intended it that way so that each rak'ah would be shorter. It would be easier on people. And then people could come in and out because each rak'ah was only like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Each 2 rak'ahs was 3 minutes. So that if you have, a little bit of time, you could come and do a couple rak'ahs. But if the rak'ahs are 8 rak'ahs or even 20 rak'ahs, but they're long, each rak'ah is 5 minutes or something, then at that point, you end up being stuck, right? So they increased the rak'ahs for taysir, for ease. Okay. Al-Iman, Imam al-Haddad says, what does the Prophet mean when he says Imanan wa ihtisaban? Iman is believing in Allah's promise. Belief in Allah's promise. Iman. Ihtisaban, sincerely seeking Allah's reward and nobody else's. Imam al-Haddad says, Adab as-Sawm, number 1, adab of Sawm, to guard your tongue from lying and backbiting. Okay? And then, if you succeed at that, guard your tongue from talking about other people, what is not your business. Al-khawd fi ma la ya'nik. Okay? وَيَحْفَظْ عَيْنَهُ, next, your eyes. Okay? Preserve your eyes from preserve your eyes from looking at the haram. At that point, you can, yes, maybe your salah, your siyam becomes valid, but at some point, if your eyes are now looking at the haram, at that point there's no point anymore. Like, yes, you have to fulfill your obligation, but you have no reward. You went from Fajr to Maghrib, the net result is more sins than good deeds. La, what a waste, right? You can't do this. You have to guard your eyes. You don't guard your eyes by themselves. You guard the devices, the times, the locations in which these problems happen. That's what you have to guard. Okay? وَيَحْفَظْ أُذُنَهُ. It's a month of Quran, not a month of music. So what may be sinful outside of Ramadan is even more sinful inside Ramadan. Okay? What is sinful in sacred places is more sinful than outside those sacred places. Okay? What's sinful in Mecca, it's 10 times more than the sins in Mecca, and 10 times more than outside Mecca. Okay? What's sinful in the presence of a righteous person, right? Sinning in front of the presence of a righteous, 10 times worse, right? Than in the presence of anybody else. Okay? Oh, that's a nice picture there. Omar making the thumbnails there. Look at that one with their praying there. That one on the left all the way. You like that one? People like to see food. They like to see food? Okay. Fair enough. Ooh. Psh. All right, what else? Excessive eating in Ramadan also renders the Tarawih pointless. Excessive eating in Ramadan is something that renders your Tarawih something that you're going to be so slow, so heavy, so unable to focus. So, and you smell bad too. Oh, the brothers that come in and their jacket smells like cooking. No, it's not good, man. That's not good. I want to tell him, please, brother, take your jacket off and go put it in there, put some bukhur on it or something. Right? قال صلى الله عليه وسلم الصوم جنة فإذا كان يوم صوم أحدكم فلا يرفث ولا يفسق ولا يجهل فإن امرؤ شاتمه أو قاتله فليقل إني صائم. Fasting is a protection. It's a shield. If it's a day of fasting for one of you, then you don't have sexual intercourse, you don't argue, and you don't engage with ignorant people. Okay. If someone curses you or fights you, say, I'm fasting. Okay, so don't do these things. Siyam, if you do Siyam regularly, okay, if you do Siyam regularly, you will inherit in yourself, your constitution, a self-control that is amazing. A degree of self-control that you can't imagine. Okay? The degree of self-control, but it's not going to come from just fasting Ramadan. You're going to need to be a regular faster outside Ramadan. Right? You will attain a degree of self-control that you cannot even imagine. Okay? And you won't be like, I don't even know who I am anymore. I have so much control over myself. I tell myself, don't do this, it doesn't do it. Okay? من آداب الصيام أن لا يكثر النوم بالنهار, that he doesn't try to kill the day by sleeping through the whole day. You're going to understand, especially as Siyam gets in the wintertime, slowly that's happening. You're going to be too cold to be moving about, and you need to sleep a little bit more. But the idea of let's kill the day, kill time by sleeping more, that's not good. Okay. And then he doesn't increase his eating by night. The nighttime should not be for indulgence. Otherwise, how are you going to do any qiyam? How are you going to do any dua? And it's amazing sometimes that, you know, if you're not used to fasting, you get a psychological fixation on food at night, as if this is the last time you're ever going to see food in your life, right? So you got to be really, that's why I'm telling you, all this is just talk. It's just talk unless you practice siyam, right? Unless you practice fasting, not going to work. What happened to that masjid, Omar? That was good. Too dark. تتهذب نفسك بمس الجوع والعطش. Your ego can be refined and tamed by what? By constantly being touched by hunger and thirst. تتهذب نفسك. Anybody who has a problem with their nafs, you have a problem looking at haram, talking about haram, smoking haram, doing anything haram, you have a problem with that? Simple solution. Actually, you know what? I think we should put the prayer picture, because we're actually telling people right now not to eat too much, right?
So the people that want to eat, they get a
All right, fine. Good point. Good point. Where is that picture from? Pakistan or Mecca? Medina?
No, one day I think we're just gonna get like a bunch of copyrights.
Yeah. Oh man. He says your heart will be filled with light the more you are touched by hunger, right? And more you're touched by hunger and thirst, right? So try to hit the saturation too. Yeah, there, hit that bad boy. And the vibrance. Hit that bad boy. Okay. وَلْيُجَانِبِ الصَّائِمِ الرَّفَاهِيَةِ. Entertainment should be pushed aside. Push it aside as much as you can. Okay. وأقل ذلك أن تكون عادته من الترفه واحدة في رمضان وغيره. وهذا أقل ما ينبغي. وإلا فللرياضة ومجانبة شهوات النفس أثر كبير في تنوير القلب. So he's saying hunger has a massive impact on light, putting on تنوير القلب, putting light in the heart. وتطلب بالخصوص في رمضان, and this is most accessible and sought after in this month. أما الذين يجعلون لهم في رمضان عادات من الترفهات والشهوات التي لا يعتادونها في غير رمضان فغرور غرهم به الشيطان حسدا منه لهم حتى لا يجدوا بركات صومهم. We see this all the time in the Islamic world. It's a campaign that there are special foods, sweets only prepared in Ramadan. Special foods only prepared in Ramadan. Special shows that only air in the month of Ramadan. And I saw this in my own self in Egypt when I went one Ramadan, and there were special shows that they prepare all year to be released in Ramadan. And the show, so the day of Ramadan will be like this. Let's start with iftar. Just start with the iftar. You have a massive iftar, right? Sometimes they eat so much that they forget to pray Maghrib. Right? I'm not even kidding you. One time, one of the youth, he's baligh, he should have prayed, right? The 10-minute, the alarm of Aisha went out, he hadn't prayed Maghrib, right? And the mom got so upset. She got so angry with him, right? She said, "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem," right? He forgot to pray Maghrib because there was so much amazing food being put out there. So now you have this huge iftar. Then you pray Maghrib, you have tea, And I remember my uncle, he said, let me take you now to the best Tarawih. We actually prayed Isha at one of the big masajid, Sayyidah Zainab, and a man recited Quran. It was beautiful, right? There was a recitation of Quran first. You know, they sit on the chair and they just recite, like Abdul Basit. And then we got up, we had the Salat al-Isha, was very nice. He said, now let's go to another place. So we left there. We didn't pray Tarawih there. We went somewhere else. And he took me to this little place smaller than the studio. Little mosque smaller than the studio. He said, this is the best Tarawih. And the man gets up for the 8 rakas and he recites the last 8 surahs of the Quran. So one rakah was like Al-Ma'un, Allahu Akbar. Fatiha, Kafirun, Allahu Akbar. Fatiha, Idha Ja'a, Allahu Akbar. Fatiha, Tabat Yada, Allahu Akbar. Fatiha, Qul Huwallahu Ahad, Surah Al-Ikhlas, Allahu Akbar. Fatiha, Falaq. Just the last 8 surahs in 8 rakas, 15 minutes, it was done. Right? We salammed out of the 8th rakah. He nudges me. What do you think? Right? 15 minutes, we finished. It's like, that's the goal for him. So we went out there. We went next. He said, now I'm going to take you for a classic Egyptian Ramadan night. So where do we go? We see a huge tent. This tent was massive. This tent was like over a whole basketball court, imagine. But it was outdoors. It was outdoor in the middle of an area, hustle and bustle, in a humongous tent. We get in the tent, and there are tables and chairs, and each table is either a chessboard or a backgammon table. The table itself has that etched in on the table. And so, yeah, it's like a big table, and then in the middle of the table, it's like painted on it, is a chessboard or a backgammon table. So my uncle sat for the backgammon, and I sat there, and his friends came, and all his buddies came. And then the tea server came. And then the sweets came. Right? And I'm drinking tea, watching them play backgammon and stuff. Oh, the shisha came out for sure. 100% the shisha came out. Right? And then I'm watching this. And I'm starting to get sleepy a little bit. But I'm just sitting there. And then a stage gets rolled out. And Mike's studio gets set up. Right? Speakers and everything. And then a singer comes on. A lady comes on the stage and starts singing, right? And all this, and my uncle says, what do you think? What do you think? Right? And I'm like, what is happening here? The exact opposite of everything that is meant to be. So finally we get home. It's got to be like 2 a.m, right? We get home for 2 a.m. And at that point, I was saying that there was some really nice parts back in the old days. Like, it was an apartment. My grandma lived on the ground floor level. Basically, her door is unlocked. She has 8 kids, right? And so the kids, the cousins, the nephews, the grandkids, they're all coming in and out of the house all day long, right? And my grandmother lives in a very small place there, so I stayed there. I get there. They wake me up for suhoor. We have a decent suhoor. And I go in a masjid to pray Fajr. I go down the street, and they said, where are you going? I said, I'm going down, there's a masjid down here. Like, la ilaha illallah, be careful, right? It's as if you're going like to jihad. Be careful. Don't go too often. Go from different routes. You might get picked up, right? If you keep going to the masjid. So I would go one day and not go another day, right? And go to another masjid another day. Come home, sleep again. Now, no one is getting up before Asr. You'd think maybe people sleep until Dhuhr. Nah. You barely catch Dhuhr, right? Barely people wake up at Dhuhr. Now I go to a different relative's house next. Have iftar and go for Tarawih. But this time at this other relative's house, she passed away. Allah give her mercy. She was my cousin who lived in my aunt's house. But they would all gather around her bed, okay, where she would stay, and they would watch this show, okay? And I'm like, there's no way I'm getting involved in this absurd drama, right? And it's a drama. So I'm sitting with them because I'm a captive. I'm a captive, basically. I'm a guest. I'm sitting with them, and they're watching this show. And I'm like, I'm not paying attention to this, right? I'm doing dhikr or something like that. I'm telling you, these producers know what they're doing. By the 3rd day, I'm hooked, right? Because the character development, the plots, the schemes. I'm like, what a bunch of shayateen. Because you cannot get hooked. And then the talk of the town one time was this show, okay? It was the talk of everybody was talking about this show. That's how good they produced the show. The plot lines, the character development, the mystery, right? The suspense. Everybody was talking on the show. And people were supposed to look for the last 10 nights, to look forward to Laylatul Qadr. Everyone was looking forward to the conclusion of the show because the show has an ending on the last night, right? I'm like, man, these abalisa, these are iblises who have taken Ramadan away from people, even from the righteous people. Yeah. So he's saying here, if you do more eating and more entertainment in Ramadan than outside, right? At that point, Shaitan has completely robbed you out of his hasad, his hatred to see you benefit. He hates to see you benefit. Okay. He says, then a person can come out of Ramadan completely with no nur and no mukashifa. But look at what he says here, Imam al-Haddad. لا يجدون بركات صومهم ولا تظهر عليهم آثاره من الأنوار والمكاشفات. He's basically telling you that mukashifat, it is going to happen by necessity. If light fills the heart, then mukashifa follows. Mukashifa is Allah shows you what your eyes could not have seen. Okay.
I have an idea for a good guest for the stream.
Who?
You know Ibn Adi?
Yeah, can you get him on?
Yeah.
Bring him on. I like Ibn Adi.
You met him before or not?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He used to come to all the... Where is he at Tarim now?
Yeah, you got a whole family in today.
MashaAllah. His studies there at Dar Mustafa?
Yeah,
Yeah. How do you tag people? I think you hit at and then you tag people. Huh? Yeah. من آداب الصوم أن لا يكثر التشاغل بأمور الدنيا. The matters of the dunya should decrease in the month of Ramadan. Work always decreases in the month of Ramadan for the sake of ibadah, more so than the sake of sleeping. But also people, you know, your body is not really primed for working when you don't have any sustenance. So there's a pragmatic element to it as well. He says, بل يتفرغ لعبادة الله وذكره وما أمكنه. Spend all your time in the remembrance of Allah as much as possible. And he doesn't get involved in the work of this dunya. You could do it after Ramadan, except what is a necessity. Okay. أو في حق من يلزمه القيام به. What you have to take care of your family, your dependents. That is because the month of Ramadan is a month of, it is in the rank of the day of Jum'ah, of the days. Jum'ah, it's blessed. The dua in is accepted, right, in 1 hour of it. Okay. فينبغي للمؤمن أن يجعل يوم جمعته وشهره هذا لآخرته خصوصا. Okay, so Jum'ah, it has in it special ibadat. It has Surah Al-Kahf. It has in it at-tabkir lil-Jum'ah. You go early for Jum'ah, right? It has in it the Jum'ah itself, of course. It has in it the dua before Qubayl al-Maghrib. Shortly before Maghrib is as-sa'a al-mubarakah of Jum'ah, which many people say in it, it has the dua is accepted there. So Jum'ah has special things that would render it not to be a day of hustle and bustle. Okay. Some of the specific things, you're going to now buy your dates and break your dates on that because that is a sunnah. And if you don't find anything, then water. And the Prophet ﷺ used to always break his fast before Maghrib, and the Hanafis allow for some extra time to be spent eating, and you're going to get basically chickpeas with sauce, with spices. You're going to get samosas. You're going to get, hey, Omar, what are those vegetables that they fry? Akoras. You're going to get that stuff. And they go on, and they actually may spend 30 minutes eating before they pray, and that is because their madhab allows for that. Whereas the other madhab require you to just break your fast, make a dua, and pray right away. Then you can eat afterwards. I learned this from experience. I'm going to Qari's office. He's got a spread. He's got ruafza. He's got almond drinks. He's got stuff like you never seen before. You break your fast, you break your fast, 3 dates, cup of milk, go salah? No. We're going to eat pakoras. We're going to eat samosas. We're going to eat chickpeas mixed with stuff.
It's all going to be fast, though, right? He eats it fast or no? Or
He eats it in about 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
that's pretty long, actually.
So that's pretty long. And I'm like, hold on a second. Aren't we doing, aren't we, is this right? Now, so it turns out the Ahnaf have their own rules on this. Okay, they do hold Maghrib is an expansive time. It's the ikhtiyari time of Maghrib where you're not blameworthy for delaying it is longer. The other madhabs say, huh?
Like Sheikh Farad mentioned this, and Sheikh Imran also told us, like, that's not an excuse that people, they eat in Ramadan.
Yeah. Well,
you shouldn't delay past 15 minutes.
but in the old days, what did they say? Because they didn't use the minute, right?
That's just like an approximation. It's not.
Okay. Is it that the light goes down or what?
I forget the exact.
Light of the sun goes down or what?
I forget actually the reason.
Hmm.
But he mentioned 15 minutes specifically. I remember.
Hmm.
We shouldn't be delaying past that.
لا تزال أمتي بخير ما عجلوا الفطور وأخروا السحور. You have suhoor late, but you have iftar early. You're supposed to break your fast right away. Today we're going to break our fast at Entai. Meet the imam. There's a new imam. His name is Imam Chad from Azhari University.
Where?
He's in Middletown.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
Uh,
Middletown, Masjid al-Aman. Okay. Ahmad Reza says, once the stars, it's makruh up till the stars are shown.
That's like 40 minutes, but there's also generally it's makruh to delay Maghrib.
Hmm.
That's tahrim, like we have different levels.
Yeah.
But generally you make wudu right when Maghrib comes in.
وينبغي للصائم, it's good and appropriate for the fasting person أن يقلل من الأكل, decrease your food ولا يستكثر منه وذلك حتى يظهر عليه أثر الصوم. So there should be signs that he's fasting even after Maghrib. Okay. ويحظى بسره ومقصوده الذي هو تأديب النفس, and you can get the real benefit is to teach the nafs adab. And I'm telling you, this is all theory. The only true way to get this is to fast a lot, to the point that food after Maghrib is not the end of the world. It's not exciting, right? It should not be felt that that's it, right? I need to have this all because I'm going to be deprived again the next day. When you fast so much, yeah, you're accustomed to being deprived of food and nothing bad happens, right?
I learned something interesting.
Yeah.
The illah, the reason for why the Prophet ﷺ in a certain way
Yeah.
for eating is because is either tawarruk like that, or it would be like on one knee and then one knee up, because it makes the stomach
Closes the stomach,
it
yeah.
closes the- if you sit like this, crisscross applesauce,
Yep.
your stomach is just wide open.
Totally.
Oh, we feel
When
it.
you sit on a chair,
Oh, it's
you
open.
never feel satisfied.
It's
When
the
you
most open.
and many moms, they do the opposite. They tell their kids, don't sit like that. Open up your stomach so you can eat more. Right? Yeah.
And you know that feeling, like it's something universal.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a name for it, but it's called itis. So after you eat a lot, you start feeling sleepy. Apparently, it's called itis, like just itis.
So the reason, I didn't know that. That's a weird name. Itis is when you feel drowsy after eating, and that's the reason is that whereas all the blood is going to work on digestion, right?
Especially after
Chipotle, because of all that saucy stuff. I don't know how people eat such saucy foods right away on an empty stomach like that. Of course, the Desi stomach is a different stomach than all other stomachs because what they're accustomed to. These guys have butter chicken for suhoor, right? How do you guys sleep after that? Don't you have acid coming up? What's that?
My dad eats like dinner and suhoor.
SubhanAllah.
I'll drink a milkshake, but he like
Yeah.
dinner. My mom cooks like that roti for him.
Wow, man. Okay, now listen to this. Yahya says, if I grow a coconut tree and I only water it Zamzam water, will this tree produce coconut Zamzam water? Oh my gosh. That's the first Yahya. Like, I have a question for you. How did that even get in your head?
Shami's business.
Nice. Very interesting, Very interesting. Okay. Khair T says it's the insulin spike that makes you sleepy. Yeah. Okay. He says here that hunger decreases your desires. Decrease of desires allows the light to shine in your heart. Okay. He also says that فإن للجوع وخلو المعدة أثرا عظيما في تنوير القلب. He's repeated this like 3 times so far. That's how important it is. Hunger and the emptiness of the stomach has a big effect on lightening the heart, meaning putting light in the heart. Okay. Big effect. I'm telling you, if you fast regularly, you'll go in the summertime and have suhoor at 4 and break your fast at 8 as if nothing happened. And you'll go about your day normally. Okay. وَالشَّبَعُ أَصْلُ الْقَسْوَةِ وَالْغَفْلَةِ. Constantly being full is the origin of all hardness of the heart and heedlessness and laziness in ta'ah, and also being bold in sins. Saddam says, how do you handle caffeine withdrawal? I'm prone to migraines, unfortunately. I'll tell you my secret personally, how I did it. I went out and I got decaf coffee and I got caffeinated coffee. I got decaf tea and caffeinated tea. And I went, and I always start this in Rajab, but at this time I want to keep it year round, right? You usually put, like, let's say you put 2 spoons. So you take a spoon and a half of caffeine and half a spoon of decaf. Next week, 2 weeks later, 1 spoon of caffeine, 1 spoon of decaf. So now you're in the realm of half calf. Okay? And you can go back and forth. You could do this one day, not do it the next day. Do it one day, not do it the next day. Until you actually are majority decaf and minority caffeine. So the amount of caffeine you're taking is decreasing. There's another trick too, which is having a little bit of caffeine during suhoor. And there's another thing that these guys get, which is a slow release caffeine pill, right? And someone said, is that halal for us? Because it's releasing while fasting. So I was like, well, what about food, right? Isn't protein still nourishing in your stomach, releasing nutrients to your body even while after Fajr? So yeah, as long as you eat it before Fajr, it doesn't matter how it releases inside your body. You're not taken into account by that. Okay, every Egyptian eats fool for suhoor. It's the best suhoor. Fool. But you don't have to eat too much because it'll knock you out. Fool.
Kidney beans.
It's fava beans. Yeah, it tastes a little much better than kidney beans. Fava beans, you take it, you heat it up in a pan, you put some olive oil, you put some salt, you have to cut up greens on it. Like coriander, you cut up coriander, tons of coriander because it's to help you digest. Then you have a piece of bread and you eat that. Okay. That's all you need. And you don't need to eat a lot of it either. You should slowly go from you'll eat like a full can on the first day, half a can, but you'll feel it in the morning. You'll be knocked out cold in an odd way afterwards, and you'll wake up slow and heavy. So I think you can get it down to a quarter of a can. A quarter of a can with 1 slice of toasted bread, okay, and a tall cup of water. That's all you need, right? That's all you need. If you can get to that, right, and then you come down without even thinking, heat it up, toast my bread, but you need to add the coriander. Cilantro. Coriander is when it's dry. Cilantro is when it's green. It's a green little thingy that has a nice flavor to it. You cut it up and put it in the food itself. That's how Melody's saying there's Sudanese fool. That's also good. So that's how the Egyptian has his suhoor, and it's a very simple Mediterranean diet. It's really good. It takes you 5 minutes to eat, 1 minute to prepare, and you're good to go. We don't need to have a spread for suhoor and 1 hour suhoor. Like, that's not necessary. Your body will adjust. Okay? You come to MBIC last 10 days, and they essentially bring out the iftar food. It's just another order of iftar food, right? And it's like, here's the problem. Here's my biggest problem. When I go to these iftar invitations, they have cooked such exquisite food. You can't say no to it. It's like, I feel wrong. I feel that this person put out an effort, and I feel that like this is fresh food that is, you know, it seems wrong to reject it. But that's a trap. Wallahi, it's a trap, right? And then you eat and you eat and you eat, and then you're knocked out for Tarawih. You like can't even pay attention. It's all a trap.
I'm gonna ask the question.
Imran Khan, I guess he's out of jail, said, what's the adab of getting invited to iftars? Do we need to go, especially if you think you may not get to Tarawih? Wait, did you answer that right now, or you were just saying it like overall?
No, I didn't answer that now.
Okay, yeah, because he's asking.
You go to those iftars. I go to all of them. You know why? I go to all of them because the suhbah is part of Ramadan. Benefiting people from the presence of people. People will benefit by giving you iftar. We may not see people throughout the year, right? Okay. I think personally that we should go to those things. All right.
Tarawih is not restricted to the masjid.
Huh?
Tarawih is not like you have, it's like only a 2-hour thing in the masjid.
Yeah.
Tarawih is really the whole night. You pray Tarawih.
Yeah.
Right? You do it at your house afterwards or something.
Tarawih is something that can continue on when you get home too. You're not only stuck with praying behind the imam. What's this argument? What is Siggy saying here? Siggy Zarzuela. You're going to regret the confidence you speak with. Who's he talking to? Is he I don't know, talking to me? What confident? We're talking about beans and stuff, right? I think that this person is talking to somebody else. Okay? Okay. What did he say next? Interesting people in the comment section today.
The comment section is like modern Kufa.
I know.
That's what I was trying to go for. There's only like a few rules, basically.
Yeah. Somebody said here, throw in some cheese for dairy with the suhoor. Yeah, that's good. Right? There's Zak. Fool with some cheese and bread. Right? Maybe a cup of decaf tea for something hot, you know, in your system. By the way, Ramadan's coming in a few years. It's going to be in the winter. That's a different experience altogether. You'll be cold, right? But the nights are going to be long, and the fast is going to be very easy. The fast is going to be very easy.
Shita Rabi al-Mu'min.
Huh?
Shita Rabi al-Mu'min.
الشتاء ربيع المؤمن يصوم النهار ويقوم الليل. The siyam is easy, and the qiyam of layl is long. Imagine that you wake up at 5 p.m. and pray 5 a.m. and pray tahajjud. 5 a.m. is tahajjud in the wintertime. Siggy says there's a sociopath is talking here. Okay. So he's messing around here with us. No problem. Okay. Let's see what else that Sayyidina al-Imam al-Haddad is telling us. إذا شبعت البطن جاعت جميع الجوارح. Wow. إذا جاعت البطن شبعت جميع الجوارح. Amazing saying here. If your stomach is full, now your limbs are hungry. Right? Your limbs are hungry for the next sensation. Right? If your stomach is full, now my eyes want their fill. My hands want their fill. My other body parts want some kind of, and that's where you get that rambunctious nafs al-ammara. Okay. However, إذا جاءت البطن, if the stomach is hungry, the limbs have no desires either. So that's why our path, the spiritual path, it's always that dhikr is brought to the forefront. But if you really want to fast track it, the tarbiyah of a person's nafs, and the tarbiyah of a person's self, it's hunger. I heard one time that it solves 99 out of 100 problems that a person has with their own self, right? If you have a problem with your tongue, with your eyes, with your ears, whatever, fasting consistently, hunger, is going to solve 99% of that. And fasting is not this fast that they do, what do they call it these days, when they intermittent fasting, where they fast from food but they don't fast from water. No. We're talking about the fast that Allah loves. Those fasts may have other benefits, but the fast that Allah loves, why? Because that's what binds you. Intermittent fasting, I can break that whenever I feel like it. I always joke with my friends, oh, I intermittent fasted today. Oh, from when? From when I woke up to 9 a.m. It's like, who sets the number, right? You set it, so if you set it, you can break it. But once you open a nafila fast, right, a fast, you're stuck with it. And that's what, it takes the choice out of my mind. I don't have to make a choice every time I see food now. I know I'm fasting. Whereas any type of diet, it's a choice every single time because nothing is really binding me to it. Okay.
Especially for the Hanafis, like even if you start on nafila, it's wajib.
Mm-hmm.
Make it up.
Yeah.
So there's even more pressure on.
Yeah. Once you start a nafila, you have to finish it.
Is that universal?
Mm-hmm. For us too. Once you can't willfully open a nafila prayer and get out of it because you feel like it. La. Not allowed to do that.
It's wajib to make it up.
You have to make it up too. Yeah. And you're sinful. You have to make istighfar. Same thing with a contract. I can't get out of a contract once I sign it. I didn't have to sign it in the first place, right? Okay. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Ma mala ibnu Adama wi'a'an sharran min batnih." The human being has not filled a vessel worse than his stomach. وَجُوعُ الْجَوَارِحِ عِبَارَةٌ عَنْ طَلَبِهَا وَحِرْصِهَا عَلَى شَهَوَاتِهَا. When he says that the limbs become hungry in this saying, when your stomach is full, your limbs are hungry. He's saying here that it means that your limbs, they need to be entertained. They need to be fulfilled their desires. Okay? Whereas when your stomach is empty, your limbs are satisfied. They don't need this. So what is the food of the tongue? When we say that the tongue is hungry, it's talking. And the favorite sweet of people is backbiting. People love to backbite. They love to hear the drama of other people. Okay, they feel it's almost like watching a horror movie, where people love to watch horror movie because they like the idea of actually being scared but then realizing they're safe. That's the psychology behind horror movies. They love to feel the idea that they're actually scared, but then they could pull out of it and they realize that they're just sitting on the couch and they're actually safe, right? So people love to talk about other people and backbite. And for the eye, what is the hunger of the eye? Is to look. Looking at beautiful things. And the ear to hear melodies. And so on. Private parts we know. Okay? So it will seek all these things for one reason. The stomach is always full. Okay? So empty that stomach with fasting. If you fast regularly, you come upon a situation where, a state where you break your fast and you're pretty much good to go. Like you don't need a hill of food afterwards, and you're not fascinated by food the way a person who doesn't regularly fast is. Okay. He says, وَذَلِكَ مُشَاهَد. This is, we've witnessed this. Okay. وعند خلوه يكون سكونها وهدوءها المعبر به عن شبع الجوارح. When the stomach is empty, you find that person calm. I was talking to a truck driver the other day. He works for Costco, and he was telling me that it's one of the most unhealthy jobs you can ever do. And he's saying that at the truck stops, there's sometimes free food and drink offered. Depends on the company. So the company like Costco may have negotiated, and you stop at the truck, you get like a card, and you could get what you want. All that stuff. So he says that there's a drink, there's a cup that they made. The bottom of the cup is like this big, and the cup is like this, right? And this wide. It's almost like 2 liters. And you fill that, and the guys fill it with Coke. It's terrible. And then they're drivers, right? So they made special driver straws. The straw goes right up to your mouth. So he doesn't ever have to pick it up or lean over to get it. And this guy will drink this 2 liters on one side, on the other side, big bags of chips. And he'll just do this while driving, and he'll have his phone in front of him while watching TV while driving, right? And this will be his diet for the next 6 hours. And he'll do this every single day of his life, as long as he's driving. He says these drivers, some of them, their legs, at the bottom of their legs, because of how bad their diet is, it's like this. Yeah, and he says he knew a driver. The guy would, this is actually pretty, it's so absurd, it's funny. His stomach reaches a wheel that he can move the wheel with his stomach. It's childish, right? But it's so funny. It's crazy. It's so absurd. His stomach is so big that he sits now in the 18-wheeler, and he just moves his back, and that's how he could just, like, you know when you drive with your knee, that's how he drives with his stomach. Oh my goodness, masakeen, huh? Oh man, masakeen. I gotta go actually get the kids today. Okay, all right. Let's see. Let's wrap it up. Most important thing is that Sayyidina al-Imam al-Haddad did not have a Siyam section with fiqh in this book. His fiqh is covered in other books, but he talks about the true purpose of the fast, which is the empty stomach. What's the question? This book is translated, by the way. It's called An-Nasaih ad-Diniyya wal-Wasaya al-Imaniyya. It's translated by Dr. Mustafa al-Badawi as a religious counsel, I believe. Omar, can you look it up, please? Yeah. Okay. من المستحب المتأكد تفطير الصائمين. Help in the masajid. Help feed. Help prepare iftar for people. من فطر صائما كان له مثل أجره من غير أن ينقص من أجره شيء. Nothing is lost from his reward, but you have the same reward as someone who was fasting. And there are many people who their specialty in life, it seems, is to come out in Ramadan and really be the heroes of Ramadan, preparing the suhoor, right? Preparing the iftar. Okay, and we have iftar at NBIC Friday nights and Saturday nights, public open iftars for everybody. And the last 10 nights, we have that with suhoor. Okay, we have that with suhoor. What is mukashifa? Mukashifa is that Allah Ta'ala may show you a vision, a dream about somebody, a dream, and you tell that person. Why does Allah show people dreams for other people? Is because if the person himself saw the vision, he may think that it's just my thoughts. But when Allah shows somebody else, then he knows for sure that it's from Allah, not from his own thoughts. Okay. هذا الثواب إنما يحصل لمن فطره ولو على الماء. Even if you're just handing him. Okay. The actual date or the actual water, that's the reward. هذا الثواب يحصل لمن فطره. Whoever gives him the iftar. فأما من أطعم الصائم من بعد فطره في بيته أو في موضع آخر فليس يحصل له هذا الثواب. So we're talking about the breaking of the fast, not feeding him afterwards. So break your fast in the masjid, then come to our house and eat. No, he means by that whoever actually gives you the food by which you break your fast. So what is this Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? He's encouraging here to create a world in which everyone's giving everyone food at Maghrib, at that moment. Okay, and that's a beautiful thing. ولكن يحصل له ثواب الإطعام. The person who invites you after iftar, like break your fast at the Maghrib, at the masjid, pray there, and then come and eat at our house, he gets this thawab of sadaqah, of it'am. And it's also a great thawab, but it's not the same as what was mentioned here. Okay. All right, and you get a lot of reward, of course, for that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we stop here. Should we strive and hope for mukashifa in Ramadan? It'll happen by itself. Strive to recite the Quran as much as you can. Strive to not indulge in food as much as you can, and it will happen by itself. Ma'ruf 7 says, a kid from a halaqah sometimes lead told me he saw me in a dream about to give khutbah in a masjid. What could this mean? It could have different meanings, and Allah knows best. It could have different meanings, and Allah knows best. But I don't want to say one specific meaning over another, because I can already in my mind picture that it could have different meanings. For example, let's say the masjid was called Rahmah, Masjid al-Rahmah. It could have nothing to do with speeches. It could have to do with getting engaged to a woman named Rahmah. That's how dream interpretation is. You're going to give a khutbah at Masjid al-Rahmah. It could mean you will be engaged khutbah at Rahmah with a girl named Rahmah, for example. But it could also mean exactly that, what he saw, that you will be benefiting those people. Doesn't have to be through khutbah, could be through other things. Are aqidah differences and fiqh differences in splitting into different groups? The answer is that yes and no. If it's separating the Muslims on matters of dispute, matters of ijtihad, then we shouldn't do that. Then everyone takes their ijtihad and can be pleased with it and convinced by it without separating the jama'ah and splitting up the jama'ah. Okay? Or if people are doing it in the correct way, this is my opinion, that's your opinion, it's a matter of opinion. This is who I follow, this is who you follow. That's not splitting the ummah. Splitting the ummah is when these splits and divisions that are up for discussion. These are not explicit verses. They're up for discussion. And this is a source for people, they no longer talk, they hate each other now, then that is the splitting of the ummah, that is madhmoom. Can I wear an Azhari hat if I'm not an Azhari? No, you cannot. It's like wearing a police uniform or wearing a lab coat when you don't know anything about medicine, because if you wear the Azhari hat, people will come and ask you questions. And if you don't know, and then they'll think you're a mufti. So that's why you're not allowed to do that. How did you get through Ramadan with toddlers? Yeah, they do take up a lot of time. They do take up a lot of time in a person's day. But you got to put them to sleep early. Toddlers should go to sleep early. Toddlers you don't have time for this. I'm not parenting after 8 p.m. You're on your own. You go to sleep. Okay? I'm going to be a parent all day and all night? You go to sleep. Okay? Learn how to sleep. Okay? I used to benefit from, try to benefit. Back in the day, there was an iPod, with headphones. So I used to help out putting the kids to sleep, but I would have lessons. I would have hifz. the iPad is going to be my time. It's now even more possible with the AirPods that don't have a cord anymore, right? You stick one in there, you do the whole thing while you're taking a dars or while you're repeating certain verses. You can go into the computer, take the MP3 of the Quran, and let's say take half a page. It ends up being, let's say, a 40-second clip, 30-second clip. Put it on your iPhone or on your whatever, your device, and play it on repeat. You'll memorize it by the end of the bedtime. Khadija Omar, yes, the Prophet ﷺ used to sit on his knees, then put one knee up. That would really shrink the stomach. He would shrink the stomach, and then he wouldn't need to eat as much. Emerald, I would like to fill out a form at my dining hall for better tasting halal food, but I also want to be content with the food in place in front of me. What should I do? There's nothing wrong, I think, if your dining hall is serving bad food. I don't see if there's anything wrong with you answering, requesting better food. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Is there any difference between subh and fajr? The time is called fajr. The prayer is called subh. At least in the Maliki terminology of things. I heard the correct juz of Quran is Fatiha and Baqarah as a whole, then Fatiha and Ali Imran, etc. Is this true? Or is our traditional juz splitting surah in pieces? No, I don't know what you mean by that. But, you know, the juz as they are in the Mus'haf is accepted by everybody. Khalil Barakal, could you give several examples of non-negotiables for potential marriage? I recommend you go into Safina Society's playlists and you'll see, actually no, go to NBIC. Go to the masjid, NBIC, and I have a 50 video playlist for marriage that covers pretty much everything that you can think of, or at least that I thought of. Okay. Samih John says, in Turkish we say, don't let the sleep fast for you. Good. That's a great saying, right? How much sleep during fasting would be permissible? So you're going to have your regular 8 hours of sleep, 6, 7 hours, whatever people do, and then maybe a nap in the daytime. But to be frank about it, the day is very short right now. Now, daylight saving is going to make it a bit longer, so Maghrib will be around 6:30. By the end of Ramadan, it'll be 7:30. Yeah. So a 7:30, you know, like maybe 5:30, 6 o'clock, 6:30, you take a 15-minute nap, no problem with that, right? No problem with that. It's a beautiful thing, that Ramadan nap. And that's only one of the times where it's permissible. As long as they wake you up shortly before Maghrib, you haven't entered the karahiyah. The karahiyah of naps is to take a nap in Asr time and wake up after Maghrib. That's makruh. But if you're going to sleep at Asr and wake up before Maghrib, that's acceptable. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Kalbe şifa ver.